What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another stream. How's everyone? Happy weekend, happy Sunday. I hope you guys had relaxing and you managed to rest and to spend a little bit of time outside the market. Let's take a look today at what to expect for next week. Basically, on Sundays we do the pre-market analysis, but for the week, which is basically the week review in this case. So we're going to look more into a higher time frame, look at the news that we're going to have, and basically try to create a bias, or at least look for levels that we're going to be interested in for this week. Let me just add some music in here. Let me know in the comments how was your week, what are you looking for next week, and any levels that you are interested, just let me know and we can look at them together. So welcome. All right, so the week finished, or the last week finished with the NFP. So basically that's something that we're going to be looking in here. We had it was worse than expected. However, the revision was much higher than the previous week. As we know, basically for the last 1-2 years, every single time we have NFP, and the data then is revised the month afterwards, which creates a little bit of a indecision exactly in terms of trusting the data that is being released. And as you can see in here, initially it was 256, the data in January, but it was revised to 370. That's a big improvement in here. When then looking at what was expected of 169, it was just 143. So it was slightly lower, but the other one basically compensates the data that came out. And of course, most likely in the next month, we're going to have again the data being revised. One point that is interesting to see is that we actually went to 4%. So the unemployment rate is actually decreasing in US, which is quite interesting. I think it already reached 4.2%, and now it's at 4% again, which is interesting. And we talked about that. It reached 4.3 even in August, then 4.2, and now we are back at 4%. So. And we talked about that in terms of what the Fed and the Fed Chair Powell is going to do, looking at interest rates, and as long as the unemployment continues to be quite steady and strong, I don't think really that Fed Chair Powell is going to be eager to start cutting rates, at least until we get to know a little bit more of the policies that Trump's going to implement and how exactly is he going to play with the tariffs. As long as that stays uncertain, and that's basically where we are right now, I think that the Powell is going to just continue and stand by, and as long as the economy continues to be steady, there's not really much to look at. This week we are going to have CPI, so that's of course the next indicator that the Fed looks at, especially in this case of uncertainty. CPI is going to be one of the big indicators to pay attention the next few months. Not exactly as it was in 2022, but at this point, because inflation is something that is going to be affected by these tariffs and how the policies that Trump is implementing, and it's something, of course, that the central bankers and the Fed also pay attention to. So that's going to be something to look at this point. For example, it is at 2.9%. It reached the low in October at 2.4. So it has been increasing recently in here, and we'll see if there's going to be any negative surprise. For example, going back to 3% or even higher than 3%, that can be a little bit of a concern in here. We are going to have also Fed Chair Powell testifying twice in front of Congress. So of course, those 2 days usually there are a little bit of volatility around that this Q&A. Again, it's slightly different. It's a lot of politics involved in these questions. Most likely, some questions that are going to come up, for example, is the pressure that Trump may be trying to implement on the Powell in terms of cutting rates. Like, Trump definitely wants Fed Chair Powell to start cutting rates, but he's holding it. Like, and again, that question that so many times is being asked in terms of the Fed being independent and not really I think to, to buy it. So that's going to be something interesting to pay attention. That's going to be Tuesday and Wednesday, and of course, then on Wednesday you have the CPI, GDP in the UK as well, and PPI as well in the US. Finish with the core retail sales on Friday on Valentine's Day, right? So it's going to be happy Valentine's in this case, and for everyone that is trading, most likely you guys are also enjoying and trading, hopefully. At least that's how most people eventually start, and after a while you did need to kind of fall in love with this. Otherwise it's mad because of all the struggles that you go through until you even become anywhere near profitable or consistent. So let's stop with the nonsense of the news and so on. Let's get into the charts. That's basically what you guys want to look at. So feel free to let me know in the comments what you are looking for and what levels are you looking. Basically price and looking at the dollar index. We're going to be looking at dollar index, US indices, commodities, gold and oil, a little bit of crypto as well, and then looking at the individual currency pairs. And we always start with dollar index because of the importance and the correlation that the dollar index has with so many different assets, not just FX. So if you guys have been watching the stream since last week, basically dollar index filled the range all the way when we had that gap on Monday, big push to the upside, then price respected perfectly the extreme and it just corrected all the way to react from this level. This level was respected, and with the NFP now it was a little bit of a move to the upside. In reality, with the NFP, because of, again, slightly lower data, but the revision was actually higher than expected, it was a little bit of a decision in the market. In the moment that we had NFP, spike up, then down, and basically stayed within the same range until then Friday evening we had Trump again announcing some more things in the media, and we had a little bit more volatility around that time. Like basically it's the third week in a row, third Friday in a row that Trump is quite active announcing some stuff. Last week it was about the tariffs. This week I don't even exactly remember what it was about, but it created more volatility, which means that basically Fridays are starting to become quite interesting, because apparently Trump does like to well, he doesn't want everyone to have a calm weekend. Therefore, it's just like Friday evening just starts going to the media and announcing many things, and the market reacts to it as we know. So yeah, that's basically what we had. We did mention that we had a little bit of this level that price could react from, which is basically where price ended up reacting around the NFP period with that spike down and then pushing to the upside. And that's the question now, like we're going to see price eventually moving, kind of trying to go back into these highs, or just reacting from something in here in the middle and potentially trying to go down. Like that's basically what we just already talked about last week, looking into this range to see what may happen between these lows and these highs. Price is not really managing to break anything in here, so we will see. Yeah, we'll see. Again, as I mentioned, looking at the higher time frame, I think the index eventually does want to continue to push a little bit more to the upside. I think it could happen. We do have a little bit of a break of these flows. As I mentioned, price just reacted from the demand zone, which means that eventually price could bounce a little bit in here. And then we talked about the scenario where actually price respected really nicely these highs, basically the extreme, and since then it's just pushing to the downside. And now again, extreme from the lows and back a little bit into this into the middle. So we'll see. If I was about to look for some potential levels, I'm curious to see more or less around this level if there's anything in here that could hold price or not, and then eventually could go slightly higher and into that zone again. From the lows, basically the price already reacted from this level. Sorry, there was maybe that extreme in there that price could eventually go towards to, and yeah, aside from that, who knows. Yeah, I don't really have a bias, to be honest. I need to see price breaking one of these levels to start getting a little bit more of a bias in here on the dollar index, and that's the situation that sometimes we are in. Sometimes it's so clear and you can see exactly where price wants to go. Some other times price is kind of stuck within the ranges, and I need to see those ranges being broken to start getting or position myself towards the direction where that range or that extreme was broken. Because basically I'm looking for space in the market. Like I want to see a space that price can move towards to. And at this point, not really much going on in here. Yes, we did manage to break above the structure, something that we talked about, which means that perhaps price does want to go slightly higher. This is a little bit of the next zone that we have, which means that price could bounce a little bit from here and potentially push a bit more downside or just higher. Sorry. All right. So yeah, that's something to pay attention. Let's jump into the US indices because this is more interesting. All right, so this is exactly what we were looking for. So we talked about US indices, S&P, Nasdaq, Dow, and so on, that there could be some selling pressure or selling opportunities still at the highs. Now, I don't really like to start trading double tops, triple tops, and so on, but we need to pay attention to see if there actually are orders left behind at around those highs in order to start making a decision. And we talked about exactly this scenario. Okay, we on Thursday, just anticipation of the NFP, we look at this level. Basically, when I finished the stream on Thursday, I think the S&P was somewhere around this level, and I mentioned that price was respecting really nice this zone. Then there was still, I think, Amazon announcing their earnings, and it created a little bit of volatility still overnight. Jesus, sorry. And after that, we talked about the scenario where price was actually creating a lot of range in here, and there was a high probability that price could now create a good fake out into this level, into something in here, which is basically the extreme that was still fresh inside that zone. Something that we talked about was that it looks like that there was maybe not exactly a break to the downside because price which respected this zone. Yes, we started to break some lows in here, but price just reacted from this extreme, then eventually continue. But this is actually an interesting goal here, and this is what you want to look for. You want to start looking at that bearish sign of break of structure to one direction, but then price can go fake out the opposite direction and then start moving in the direction of the first break, which is basically what happened in here. Start showing indication also go over. It is a fake out and then starts pushing to the downside. So a really good move in here on the S&P, exactly as we predicted. We're starting to position ourselves since last week as well, looking at the type of approach that you're having. Price already respecting most of these demand zones as well, which eventually can push this S&P to the downside. Of course, now the next level that we can look for is somewhere around here. That may basically price, we'll see how price is going to react. The reality is that also on the way down, price already created a little bit of structures in here that could still be used to continue to push price to downside, or yeah, we'll see. We'll see. On the other hand, price reacted a little bit from basically the base of that level. It could still go a little bit into the extreme in there as well if it wants in the future. A really good move in here on the S&P, and now looking a little bit more into the higher time frame, and we did have another break of a low in here. All right, so we did have that one initially, that was a breakout structure in there, and now we did manage to break now again in there, with potentially to eventually reach this next zone in here, which is a little bit fresh. You can even go lower if you want to, but at least that level in there is fresh. Now, of course, we need to continue to see price, and this guy's S&P, to continue to break below these levels of structure, to continue to show more bearish signs, with the potential perhaps to even retest this level in here, basically these left shoulders that could lead into an interesting opportunity. Price, it looks like they just paused underneath without really reaching that zone in there for potential price to react from. Looking at the Nasdaq, more or less the same thing, and we talked about that scenario as well, where maybe Nasdaq could go slightly higher as well, instead of just respecting this high, could actually go slightly higher before a potential move to the downside. Yeah, while on the S&P, I didn't really wanted to see that. I think this high actually needed to hold price and not really being faked out, because this high already went a little bit more into the extreme of this structure in there. And that's basically the main difference in here. So we did manage to fake out that that level similar to the S&P. We also had this this break in here, like we had that low being already pushed down, then price eventually went there, hold a little bit, and now pushing to the downside, and we start having these breaks of structures in here that potentially can lead into more selling pressure on the on Nasdaq. The main difference is that when you're looking at the lows, Nasdaq actually has respected the extremes in here. There's not exactly a break of another low, so that's something to consider in here. Eventually, I'm definitely looking for this Nasdaq move to go all the way back into this 20,000 mark in here. However, it doesn't really need to go from there. It can actually go maybe first up before actually moving to the downside. So I'm going to be open-minded on that scenario, but in the longer time frame, bigger picture, eventually I do see this over here as a target for Nasdaq, and the potential zone potential to maybe go long from there. Yeah. Similar to the S&P, potentially price if it goes a little bit higher, you can have another opportunity at around that level. We'll see if price does want to go there again. Yeah, Dow just continues well, so not exactly much going on in here, just pushing to the downside in here on the Dow. And then DAX. DAX was a nice one as well. So DAX created new all-time highs last week. We started to create this pattern. Sorry, guys. Yeah, we started to create this pattern in here, which is that exactly pattern that we like to see as a potential reversal after price breaks an important level of structure. Of course, in this case, it's all-time high, so we don't really have any information on the left side, which always gives us a little bit more of certainty in terms of the levels that we want to look for trades. In this particular case, we can only actually look at what's going on in the moment. As a recommendation, usually pay attention first what's going on the left side, and then look at the approach and what price is doing in the moment. But in this particular case, there's no left side, it's all-time highs, so we need to focus more on what's going on in the moment. And what you want to look for is exactly that. Like, you want to start looking for bearish signs in here, at least breaks of structure, trying to look for people to be interested in looking for sales before actually the sellout happens. So basically, you want to start seeing price breaking structure, holding the levels of resistance at the highs, and then we have that final push up, takes everyone out. They start seeing breaks to the upside, so they start thinking of longs. This is an example in here, price holding a little bit of this level until eventually price turns to the opposite side. Look at this break in here as well. That's a really nice clue. Already one of the first breaks to the downside in here. Many people starting to look for shorts in here. You can see how price actually holds all the way through in there until eventually breaks to the until it eventually breaks to the upside, and then it turns. And that's actually where I was involved in here on the trade. It's a really nice one. Basically, price hold, created this structure. It went down. Next, start breaking this level. And I was muted. I just realized that I've been muted since without the stream, since my camera switch off. As I was saying with the DAX, we have these levels in here, basically 1 and 2 that potential price can react from. If price starts breaking below that structure, most likely price is going to reach the next one. This was a nice price action that we had in here. We want to look for that reversal that I mentioned, maybe start to see some weakness before actual price fakes out. We did manage to break that low, then price comes back, fakes out the level, and then we had a great opportunity for a short in there on this right side of the move. It was a really good one. And now let's see what's going to happen in here. Looking at crypto, and in this case, Bitcoin just continues to push lower. It's basically holding a little bit this level. We have a strong demand zone in here. Price is creating slightly new lows. That was a nice spike up as well, starting already to take some supplies in here on the left. But we'll see. Right, we need to see. We have quite a few accumulation of lows in here, strong level of support, which eventually can be faked out. Maybe price can react a bit more into the edge of this demand zone, and then push higher. So we could have that in here, or otherwise price may just continue to push a little bit more to the downside. Again, we are within this range, so yeah, we'll see what's going to happen. Ethereum, a bit more of the same, even though I may be a bit more bearish on the Ethereum than Bitcoin, but we'll see what's going to happen at around the structure as well. Savannah back at this level as well, so expanding a little bit of a reversal on here, breaking a little bit of those highs, but we do need to eventually break back into the structure. Again, similar to Bitcoin, really good reaction from this low in here. So yeah, we'll see how price may react from this level. Now we did manage to break a little bit of that structure, maybe just reacting from the next one. If we managed to break that, if we broke that one, maybe we can go higher. Yeah, but around this structure here may have some PA for a long. That's potentially can be interesting. And if you start breaking that high as well, it's even better. Yeah, crypto to the market just continues like it is. Looking at the indices, starting with the yen index in here, price actually faked out that high and potentially can even go slightly higher into this next level in there. So that's something to keep an eye on. Yeah, price will just fake out that level, and yeah, I would like potentially to see this yen index to go a little bit closer into that zone before looking for a turn. Yes, we'll see. Because this is going to influence, of course, the yen pairs, and are we close to that reversal or not, or should we be looking for the yen pairs to go slightly lower before a potential long? Yeah, we're going to keep an eye on that one, of course. And then the yen index, that's one that we've been looking a little bit more of a bearish move as well. So we talked about that, where price basically broke out this structure in here, just came all the way, it retested the previous level. Like on the daily time frame, it becomes a bit more clear in here, where it moved down, basically took that low as well, took out this structure. Looks like kind of a bearish type of behavior. Came all the way back, retest perfectly this previous support resistance in here, and now it looks like it's about to continue in this case, potentially to push lower, and potentially can even go very closer in here, and eventually can even go all the way. And if that happens, we are going to have bearish euro, and the dollar is going to push a little bit more to the upside, if that's the case. But again, this euro index is not just related to the euro dollar, it's related to all the other euro pairs, which means that it's not 100% correct. Of course, there's a high correlation with the euro index and the euro dollar, but sometimes you may have some moves on the euro index that are not visible on the euro dollar. The euro dollar is doing a little bit of opposite from what these guys are Okay, 1 second. Just before just off. Yeah, I think it's loading. 1 second. All right, euro dollar. So euro dollar, it ended up respecting that level, and we talked about this. That price was breaking every bit of this structure, especially on the pound dollar. So we talked about that, and good reaction with price faking out this level in here and getting a bit more closer into this extreme, like basically exactly that zone. That's where you want to look for a level where price can react from. That's exactly where it reacted, similar on the dollar index when it reacted with spike to the lows of the level that we had in there. And then it looks like it was ranging a little bit until finally Trump started to say something, and it moved the market again. In this case, it pushed euro dollar to the downside and pushed dollar to the upside. It's quite similar in terms of the range, at least from the slows in here. Price respected really nice at that level. Yeah, it came all the way back in here. This is a level in here that we have. Potentially can even go slightly higher in there. So price moved away from this level with the gap. Maybe price wants to retest this level in here one more time before potentially looking for a long, or it just even wants to continue to push a bit more to the downside. In my opinion, I think eventually euro dollar could get closer to this level in here. So yes, a higher time frame, I'm still a bit more bearish than bullish on the euro, just similar to the dollar index, a bit more bullish in there. But of course, price can actually range a little bit in here. Maybe can even get into that level, which means that maybe price could go somewhere in here and start pushing higher, even fake out that low, getting a bit into here and potentially push more to the upside. So we'll see what's going to happen in here on the euro dollar. This level, yeah, it looks like that level has already been reacted. Yeah, price already reacted from that zone. Yeah, we'll see. I'm not really expecting any big gaps, opposite to what happened the last 2 weeks. I haven't really seen the news, to be honest, so I don't really know if Trump has said anything. But overall, I'm not really. If he didn't say anything, I'm not really expecting any big gaps in here. But let's see if we're going to have a follow through with after the NFP. Looking at the pound, so this was something that we talked about as well. So the scenario where price actually starting to break some structure in here, and we had all these left shoulders that eventually price could go and react from after price reacted really nicely from that level. This is a nice level of basically supply in here that price got really close to. Basically looking at the other one a little bit underneath that. So yeah, nice move. Price kind of holding that level, initially respected it here, spike and push to the downside, where potentially can go a little bit lower into at least that zone, if not even lower. So that's something to keep an eye as well in here on the pound. Yeah, overall, again, as I mentioned, bigger picture, we just retested all the way to the previous high that created this push to the downside. So there's not exactly an engulf to the upside just yet. Price is still holding in that level, even though we did manage to break, for example, this high. Doesn't really mean that price is 100% ready to go higher. I'll be looking more of this high in here as that confirmation. So that's something to look at. And then we do have also this left shoulder potential level that price can respect in here if it gets there. Yeah, so we'll see how the opening is going to be. But price is, again, it's another one. It's a bit in the middle. Looking at the euro pound, which is one that we looked at last week, like that long from there. Really good move, and now price is coming back into this structure. Again, something else is that we do have also this level in here. If price just does want to continue to go a little bit more to the downside, it can. Because we do have even that one that price can react from, or price can just find again more buying pressure within this level in here, even though everything looks a bit spiked. So we'll see how price may react from here. I did manage to break into this structure, so that can be a little bit more of a bullish potential confirmation. But yeah, we'll see how price may react from here, what kind of price action we're going to have around this level, if there's going to be any new longs from that zone. Aussie. So Aussie is reacting from this left shoulder. So that's something that we also eventually looked at, expecting some reaction from here. Bigger picture, yes, price may still want to go and fake out those highs and go higher. If that's the case, it's perfect. We talked about that scenario as well, where maybe you can have a little bit of a range at around this level. And if prices want to go higher in here, potentially this level in here is going to be used as a long in the future, especially after we break out those highs, basically creating this level of resistance into a level of support in the future. But before that, maybe price actually wants to go all the way down. So if you do manage to break below that level, maybe price eventually can go even further down in here, and all of a sudden it may go all the way to fill this range once again towards this zone here. New Zealand, if not mistaken, it's more of the west this time. So yes, we do have also that shoulder price getting a little bit more into this extreme in here. If we start breaking below that level, potentially you can go even fill this range again. Again, bigger picture, price can go a little bit higher as well of this structure in there. Yeah, so we'll see what's going to happen in here on New Zealand. Looking at the other Aussie pairs, looking at Euro Aussie, respected, and it continued pushed down, right? So that was something that we're looking for. Now this move was super rangy, right? It was incredible, ups and downs in here. So it took quite a lot of time until price eventually moved into that direction, but it actually respected as we noticed, and there is still the potential to go further down. If price does indeed wants to go further down, that will mean also, for example, Euro Aussie is one of those that follow Euro Index, and if the Euro Index does want to move lower, maybe this one can follow, and if that's the case, then we may have Aussie dollar moving a little bit more to the upside and potentially challenging that high in there. So yes, potentially, honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of this. I prefer maybe to go a little bit lower in here. But you may have, after now taking out this, you may have a little bit of a correction before a potential price continue to push lower. Another one that we were looking for was the pound Aussie, which also played out really nicely in here. Just bring this one up. So yes, we're looking for that big push down. Price respected perfectly that level. Now we're looking for price getting a little bit closer into something in here, if not even below these lows. So yeah, so that's basically what I'm going to be looking for, since all this move to downside already happened. Yes, that's nice. Just keep an eye when price eventually breaks below these levels. Then eventually price, of course, can go all the way back into this structure as well. Potentially to look for a short. Now we do have this double top in here, so yep, price could range a little bit in here, take that, go down. Like, you already are used to see this type of pattern. Now then be surprised if you start making that type of PI as price is slowly approaching into this zone. Price doesn't just move in a straight line. Price needs to create these kind of ranges in here if the intention is actually to reverse price. Otherwise, we can just create a momentum in which your price just continues. Just bring this one here on the left. Yes, Aussie just continues to push a bit more to downside. So we'll see how in there, again, not exactly one that I'm looking for. Dollar yen continues to push a bit closer into this level, so it starts to compress a little bit in here, also taking basically every single supply on the way down, which eventually can lead into an interesting reversal, because there's then not exactly any orders left behind in here, and you can start looking for a bigger move. We have also that one's on a little bit underneath. So again, we're going to be looking at this dollar yen to see what's going to happen, and if it's going to happen anything in here. Euro yen and pound yen, maybe it's a bit interesting, more interesting. Again, continuation to move to downside. Finally taking that low in there. Again, price is coming from a really interesting level. Same thing in here, and you are looking for price potentially to get a little bit closer into this this structure. So I did have that break of a low in there. Yeah, I'm going to be looking to see how price may react from around this levels in here, to see if there's any type of buying pressure, and what type of PA also we're going to have around the 12. Price is reacting nicely from that zone in there as well. So yeah, that's something to keep an eye on. Yeah. Yeah, I'll definitely keep an eye on that one. I think we may be getting closer. Looking at the daily time frame, it's been quite weak in here. Really strong push to the downside. Maybe getting closer to a correction in here. Just what price shows us that. Pound yen just continues to push lower as well. So when you're looking at it, we did manage to break below that level. Price just retesting basically the previous level or the previous low that mattered a little bit in here. So we'll see what eventually is going to happen. The price now is reacting from something in there. They could eventually continue to push forward. It's an interesting supply level, the demand zone, but eventually can continue. The structure kind of starts in here as well. And eventually can even go further down, right? Something for the future. But the continuation is you can see how price is continue breaking lows, retest the highs, there doesn't break anything, so a little bit down, continues now, and potentially can continue even more. Looking at the dollar CAD with the big move in here and potentially to move more to downside. So that's a little bit of what you're looking for. Then eventually price can go a little bit closer into something in here to look for another long or some retest after taking out the structure in there. Something else in here is that, yes, price respected perfectly or fake out perfectly that double top. Looking for price to break below this low, and then there's maybe this level, maybe something in here, or even the extreme that price could eventually react from. We talked about this situation as well, that maybe price could create some kind of a range in here to trap a little bit people. Maybe you can maybe break to the downside and then eventually you can retest and continue, something like that. Something to keep an eye on in here. Looking at the Euro CAD, just continues to push forward. So great reaction from that level. Again, it was looking a bit higher, but good reaction, and apparently price is ready to go again back into this to test these lows in here. So that's potential move in here. Price eventually can take this one and get into the next one. Pound CAD. Pound CAD was perfect as well. So it reacted really nicely, fake out that level really nicely. Then there was a lot of volatility around this level, and then it starts to follow through. We had already that engulf to downside, price creates this range, and then just continues and got into this compression zone as well. So eventually we could continue to see a little bit more of a move to downside in here on the Pound CAD. I'm interested actually to see how price may react from this level. So that's something to pay attention to. Yeah, we may have a little bit of a reaction from there. Of course, we can even retest this level, can go there as well in there. If price starts breaking below this level in here, which potentially can still be a fresh level, then price can go even further down in here, and all of a sudden you're looking for price to even go below that. Because in the bigger picture, what you're having here is actually kind of a massive quasi-model in here. Yeah, perfect. Looking at dollar franc Swiss, it reacted really nicely also from that extreme. That was already Wednesday, if not mistaken, or Tuesday, and it's reversing since then. So we'll see how price also is going to kind of react from as price continues to push a bit more to the outside. If there's going to be any kind of reversing here, didn't manage in my opinion to break below that low. Price reacted really nicely from that level. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen in here. I'm a bit more bearish in here, to be honest. But price reacted really nicely from this extreme. So and it's holding up. So we'll see how price may react to see if there's going to be any opportunity to actually sell. Gold. Everyone likes to trade gold. Gold created new all-time highs during the NFP, but then just comes all the way back in here. So we start to have a little bit more of structure. It looks nice. Price starts to break some lows, then creates that fake out. So this starts to become a bit more of the reversal pattern that we like to look for. At least some pressure, some selling pressure in here. We'll see. This price actually reacted really nicely from that level. Not exactly sure if there's any clear engulf. Yes, we did manage to break below that wall, but that's not exactly what matters in here. Yeah, just keeping an eye on that one. Yeah, not really touching gold until we see a little bit more of a clear break. But price is starting to slow down a little bit after that big momentum to the upside after breaking all-time highs. Again, question mark is gold going to get to 3K and when it's going to happen. That's an interesting pair to look for. And then we have oil, and oil is one that we have been talking about as well. So we have been seeing all this compression on oil, prices getting weaker and weaker again. That's something that Trump actually would like to see. And price is actually approaching an interesting level. So we are starting to get really close to something in here. I'm curious to see how price may react from that level. Price reacted really nicely in the evening from a demand zone that was left behind, basically that level in here. But we may still need a little bit more of a clear engulf up. Now we did manage to break above this level, so that's good. Yeah, we'll see. But I'm continuing to track oil because I think there's going to be an interesting opportunity for price to potentially go all the way through after taking some kind of key level in here, because a lot of this has been compressed. Of course, one of targets can be that one. Another one can be just even to test this level in here, and as price continues to push a little bit more to downside, I think that that could happen. Even Brent kind of doing a bit of more of the same thing. You'll see. Yeah, we'll see. So that's it, basically. With that being said, that's basically it for this Yeah. So that's basically it for this week. It's going to be another interesting one. I think volatility is going to continue to be in play. Of course, everyone's going to continue to pay attention to what Trump may wants to say. So that's going to be on the radar. We have CPI. I think CPI can become again another indicator that's going to move the market, or it's going to be a reference for the market, especially because it's increasing a little bit, and with all this again policies from Trump, it's going to create some. That's one of the risks that can affect the Fed eventually. Looking at the market, it's a little bit indecisive, at least in my opinion. Looking at the dollar, at the euro, it's in this range between those highs and lows. So yeah, we'll see the indices. I think the highs are holding quite nicely. There may be a little bit more of a continuation to the downside. Yep. So yes, what was I saying about US indices? That it could there could be a little bit more of a move to downside. Price is creating this structure at the highs, respecting really nicely, looking at S&P, Nasdaq, and so on. Let me just add a monitor. So yeah, that's something to pay attention to, see how it's going to play out at around this level. If we're going to have more bearishness, again, I like on S&P. I think I can already see some clues, some signs that maybe price actually does want to continue to push lower. On Nasdaq, maybe there's a little bit more to look at. Yeah, that's basically it. The N pairs have been quite bearish, so eventually we can have some turn. The oil the WTI and the Brent as well, I think we may have a little bit of buying pressure eventually, and I'm going to be tracking that one to look for that opportunity to look for longs throughout this week. Yeah, I think it's going to be quite nice, quite interesting week to look ahead. So thank you guys. I'll see you tomorrow again. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, I will see you tomorrow. Thank you very much. Bye. 1 second.